Hey everybody, it's Jason Creel and this is the Lawn Care Life. Today I wanted to talk about 7 things that I love about being in the weed control and fertilization business. Now, I could probably also do a video with 7 things I hate about the weed control and fertilization business, and maybe I'll do that some other time. But I wanted to talk about the positives this time, and some of you know my story. I was mowing lawns for years, and then I've started doing weed control and fertilization a while back. And that's what I work in my actual business. Now I still love lawnmowers. I still cut my own grass and got zero-turn mowers and all that. But for my business, I'm a weed control guy, and so I want to talk about that and some of the advantages of that. Now there's also advantages to being in the mowing business. But anyway, we're going to get started. No particular order. 7 things I love about weed control and fertilization. All right, one thing I love about weed control and fertilization, and I'm sort of comparing it with mowing in this situation, is there's not as much competition. And that's a huge deal, because what that means, oftentimes, not as much competition means that it's easier to get customers. Because again, there's almost equal demand, in my opinion, at least in my area. It may be different in other areas, but there's almost equal demand for mowing services as well as weed control and fertilization services. There's going to be some customers that want to pay for the weed control but want to mow their own lawn. There's going to be some that want to have you mow their lawn, and they're not going to be interested in weed control. But overall, it's similar demand. So, but a lot less competitors. And since I'm a weed control and fertilization business, I can build relationships with those that are mowing lawns, and they end up sending me those referrals. So I found, honestly, it was easier to get customers and easier to build a clientele running a weed control and fertilization business than it was a mowing business. Now, the downside is I needed a whole lot more customers. I mean, I probably needed 300 customers before I felt like I had a full schedule. And even I could honestly handle more than that by myself before I really felt stressed. And that's going to depend on how many apps you're doing and how far apart you're spacing them and things like that. And where mowing, obviously you're not going to handle 300 properties solo. So you can have less customers and still fill up your schedule. So I'm not saying right or wrong, but to me, almost any business, less competition is a good thing, and I think there's no argument that there's definitely less competition in weed control and fertilization. The second thing I like about it is higher margins. Okay, so your profits are just better. I don't know how. I'm sure you could find an example where there was a mowing business that had better margins than a spray business. But I'm saying in general, and this is not just me saying this, it's in the industry magazines when they come out with these state of the industry reports and they show you profit margins, it's typically better. Okay, so higher revenue. Now you do have your chemical expenses, and I tell people, I said, normally for me, at the end of the year, it comes out to 20 to 25% of your revenue ends up being your supply costs, your fertilizer, your herbicides and things like that. But your revenue is higher, per person. One person out spraying lawns typically going to generate a lot more money than one person out mowing lawns. Again, I'm not saying better business, I'm just saying it's different and there's higher margins. So the equipment side is usually pretty good. You can get a spray tank, you can get a ride-on spreader spray and things like that. But there's not near as much upkeep on the equipment in my experience, and just overall better margins. And again, almost any business you're in, better margins is usually translated as a positive thing. Another thing I like about weed control, and this will be number 3, is it's actually a really good fit for a solo operator. Now, you can do solo operator mowing lawns. The problem with being solo mowing lawns is same goes for weed control. You're capped off is what you can do from a solo operator. But when I say that it's good to be in the weed control business as a solo operator, your income potential can still be pretty good working solo, because what I said, one person can generate a good bit more income solo than you can mowing lawns. Mowing lawns solo, it's a lot of work. It can wear on you, and it's just difficult because you're going to be limited financially to what you're going to be able to earn. Another thing I like about weed control and fertilization, and this goes to just lawn business in general, but it's really a self-cleansing business. Okay, this is my number 4 reason I like weed control and fertilization. And what I mean is a self-cleansing business. Well, what I'm talking about is The way I look at it is like this. Let's say I get 100 customers next year, and I may not get 100, but let's say you get 100 for a good round number. For me, I'm thinking 90 of them are going to be good, okay? 2 of them are going to be total losers that I just don't want to even be in the same room with, and 8 of them, not going to like the way I do things, and I'm going to end up losing them, or they're going to switch for a cheaper price, or complain too much, or whatever reason, something's going to happen. So and those numbers may be slightly different, but the way I look at it is like you're not going to keep all of them, but every year you can kind of you get a little bit tighter route, and you're kind of able to weed out some of the bad customers and replace them with the good customers. And eventually, yes, if you get new customers, some of them are not going to be ideal fits, but you can weed those out, and you can sort of make people play by your rules. Let's say you're mowing grass. I'm going to switch over to mowing grass here, and you're doing it bi-weekly, but you're getting so busy, you make everybody go to weekly, and some of them don't want to do it. Well, you weed them out, and so all you're left with is weekly customers. And let's say, like for me, I want to do credit card on file this next year. Some of them don't want to do it. Well, you weed them out, and eventually you get a full route of people in the neighborhoods you want, that pay the way you want, that don't complain the way you don't want them to complain, and they fit your schedule. So it's self-cleansing, because you're adding a lot of customers. Most of them are going to be great, and as you replace the bad ones with the ones that fit your ideal customer. 5th reason I love weed control and fertilization is that you can really turn properties into beautiful properties. And maybe you noticed this is not the normal background that you see on some of my videos that I have here today. I mean, you look around, I'm at a very beautiful location. This is some really pretty zoysia grass. Now we're into November at the time of the video, so it's not gonna have the color it would have during the summer, but just beautiful. I mean, just really beautiful property out here with landscape and everything. And I'm able to make properties look like this. Now, I don't make this one look like this, I'll be honest with you. But when I was mowing grass, sometimes I would go up and it would just be a weedy yard. It's all overgrown. And I just mow the weeds, and and it would look so much better than it did before I mowed the weeds. But now that I've learned the weed control and fertilization side of things, I can actually fix that yard and make it look really nice. And I like that. I just didn't, nothing. I want to mow it too. I want to be able to mow my yard and put a nice edge and edge out the flower beds and do pine straw and landscaping. But I needed to learn that weed control and fertilization side of the business to really make the yard look great, and to really turn around a yard that was looking horrible. To fix it, you got to get rid of the weeds and make the turf grass look great. And I love knowing how to do that now. 6th thing I want to mention is for weed control and fertilization, at least in my area, I know it's not like this everywhere, but it is truly year-round income. And that's always a big deal for people in my area that are mowing grass. Some of them got year-round contracts and they're able to provide in the wintertime, but sometimes people don't want to work year-round. They want that big break in the wintertime. But for me, I didn't mind the break in the wintertime. I just didn't like the break in my income in the wintertime. So my business runs consistently year-round. It does slow up a little bit in the wintertime, not necessarily the work side of it, but I don't get as many new calls for new customers, so I'm not running around giving quotes. I'm not getting hardly any complaints because there's not that many weeds. So I'm not on the phone and doing administrative kind of things in the wintertime, but the work continues round the clock, and that is really a positive in my situation, because I can think about that from the standpoint if you were going to hire somebody and now you have a job to offer them year-round, and you don't have to lay them off in the off season and try to bring them back the following year. So to me, that's a huge plus. 7th thing, and this is I'm out here today, it's beautiful in the fall, and this is true for most of us with outdoor jobs. And I feel like the lawn business kind of plays a trick on me every year. Every year I get out here in the fall and I'm out riding around on my fertilizer spreader. I'm putting out lime on the properties at the time of this video. And it's just beautiful, beautiful weather. I'm out there, doing what I want to do. And I think, well, I've got one of the greatest jobs of all time. And you sort of forget about, out there when it's 100 degrees working in the heat the following summer. So, but the point being is that the weed control and fertilization business is actually less physically exhausting than mowing lawns. It's still work. I'm not sitting at a desk all day, but it's not quite as rough on your body physically from the wear and tear as mowing is. I'm riding on machines. Sometimes I'm pulling hoses, spraying a yard. And I'm actually trying to get smart at this and trying to take on smaller properties that are flatter and things like that are easier. But anyway, you can get out there and do 20 to 25 yards a day by yourself, and it doesn't wear you out too bad, where mowing can wear on you, especially if you're trying to do it solo. So that's my list. If you're actually thinking about starting weed control and fertilization, I do have resources at lawncarelife.com, including a year-long coaching program I started. I've got a weed control and fertilization academy, got a lot of documents, letters, things like that to help people if you need a program, pricing charts, things like that to help you get started. There's other resources, mosquito spraying course. There's a course for people wanting to start a mowing business, logos. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Anyway, check it out, lawncarelife.com. Appreciate you watching. Add to the list. Let me hear from you in the comments, things you like about weed control, or maybe something you disagree with the video and advantages you see of being on doing mowing or landscaping, things like that. So appreciate you watching. Subscribe if you hadn't done so, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.